Well, happy Man Talk Monday to all of you out there. You may not recognize me. I'm probably a fresh new face you're not familiar with. My name is Nicholas. I'm part of BraveHeart Men, and I'm happy to also be in this space with you all. So today I want to talk about our key relationships in our lives, and that specifically starting with the relationships of godly men, godly brothers in our lives. I think we're in a day and age where many men right now are longing and looking for the type of friendships that they can feel fully seen or known in. And I think many men are struggling to find that and have that in their lives. They're looking around and wondering, where are the men to lead me, to show me by example, to train me, to be a mentor to me. And, I'm a firm believer that every man needs to have those types of men in their life, those types of relationships. I always call it like my inner circle. I have a buddy, he calls it his board of advisors. But who are those men that you can be fully yourself with? And sometimes in Braveheart, we talk about our shadow self. Who are the men that know you and even your shadow self and how you show up, or that last 5% that men are, tend to hide? Who actually could you bring your full self authentically to, that could see you and still know the hurt places, the dysfunctional places, the broken places, and still say, hey, I'm with you, bro. I see you. I love you. I'm still here with you in this process. For me, I think about two men in particular that rings completely true of. The first one is a man named Michael. He's been such a mentor, such an example to me, not just in how he lives his life, but even in those moments where very vulnerably I've come to him and shared, hey, here's what's going on with me. Here's, the darkness that I feel like I'm hiding in right now. And he was especially crucial for me in my process of walking out divorce. I was had been married 8 years, got divorced, and for the first time in my life, I was actually choosing to be hidden in the dark, choosing to not bring a community into my process, choosing to just remain isolated and literally in the dark. And I remember it took a while, but I realized that it isn't working. The way I'm trying to do it just isn't working. And so I thought, who are the safest men that I think if I actually stepped out in courage and strength to be vulnerable with and actually share what's going on in my world and in my heart, or the pain that's going on in my world, will still choose to see me, will still choose to accept me, will still choose to love me where I am in my process. And so Michael was really one of those first men that when I was going through one of the hardest seasons of my life, I wouldn't wish a divorce on my worst enemy. He was the one that I got to be real and vulnerable with and say, have him affirm and just say, hey, I see you. I'm with you. I still am going to be by your side. I still support you. I still love you. And that made all the difference in the world. Yeah, there's another guy in my life. His name is Dylan. He's been a best friend since college. But why he's such a crucial relationship to me, friendship, brother to me, is because that in those moments where I need someone where I can be fully myself, where I can share all of the stuff and know that they'll still be there for me. He's been there time and time again. And we've been a safe place for each other where he can come and bring his stuff to me and I can be there for him and speak into his life and vice versa. And so those two men are invaluable in my life. I've got other mentors or leaders in my life that are just, essential as well. But those are two that stick out to me because throughout moments, like I call them sliding door moments, or actually I use that from Brene Brown. In those crucial moments when I chose to be vulnerable with them and show up, they showed up really well for me. They showed up in love and acceptance and support and strength for me. And that will forever, ever be one of the most needed things in my life, as I'm sure it is for many of you. So, one of the things I really want to say more than anything else is that having those men in your life is one of the most crucial things you'll ever do. Having those men in your life is one of the most valuable, life-giving, healthy things that you will ever do. And so if you're watching this right now saying, I don't have that, I want those men in my life, what does that look like? Then what I would say is start looking for those men. I don't know if you ever heard of the red car theory. It's the idea that, if I were to tell you, start looking for every single red car on the road, your eyes would adjust to begin targeting and looking for all of the red cars. And so it's the same way, it's the same principle with anything else. That's why it's called the red car theory. If I were to tell you, start looking for men that you want in your life, or even, the thing about Michael and Dylan is that they're both very different in a way that they hold space for me. Michael is ahead of me in life. He's holding positions in life, places in life. He's adventuring into life in areas that I dream and long to step into. And so for me, what that looks like is I see and I acknowledge the evidence and fruit of the decisions of his life, of the maturity and wisdom that he carries. And I choose to pull on that so that I can, receive from what he's done, because I see so much of his life and I want that for myself. Dylan is in a very same season, not ahead in life, but in the same season. And that way, we can relate. We can relate to being, being fathers of young kids. We can relate to the same struggles because we're in the same season, walking the same thing. And so even though they're in different seasons, they still hold crucial places of value in my life. So I would just say, like the red car theory, start looking for the men that have the fruit in their life, the evidence in their life of wisdom, of character, of integrity that you want to go after and that you want to be like. And then just be intentional to pull on them. Ask them if you can grab a coffee with them and sit down and ask questions about how they got to where they are. If there's a guy that you feel like is in the same season, ask him if he wants to hang out and actually be willing to have those conversations that a lot of men aren't. But it starts with looking for who you want to pull into your life, and then being intentional and courageous and even bold enough to try and forge those relationships with those men, because it will change your life if you can have them. So I just want to invite you guys into that process of looking for those men and really beginning to step into those areas, because as Braveheart men, we recognize how powerful it is to have other men in our life, but also how much it enriches us and it encourages us and strengthens us to be the men that God has called us to be. So I want to just encourage you guys with that. Just know that God has godly men for every single one of us to thrive with, to do life with, to be brothers with. And that's part of the heart of Braveheart, is to connect men with other men, but also let them know they're not alone and that they can be fully seen in the fullness of who they are, and still chosen, still seen, still respected, still loved and honored, no matter what you've been through. So I just want to encourage you guys with that. I appreciate the time. Thank you guys so much. Happy Man Talk Monday to you guys, and we'll see you soon.